Hello and welcome back to Cult Leader. I'm your Cult Leader, Spencer Henry, and this is a Little Leader, our weekly catch-up where I share some of the stories that you all send to me. If you have a story you'd like to share with the cult, send it on over to spencer@cultleader.com, and you might just hear it on an upcoming episode, or you can feel free to call in and tell me the story yourself by calling the Cult Leader hotline at 747-322-0273. How's it going, babes? Happy Friday. What a week. What a month. January felt like a fucking year. I'm so happy to be here in February with all of yous, the month of love. I had a great weekend last weekend in Palm Springs. Just an absolute blast. Got to soak up some sun, which was very much needed because it's just gloom and doom outside here. But we got to get straight to business this week because there is a very strange case that I want to talk to you guys about. Just absolutely chilling. And a lot of you started following me / listening to me back in the ghost hunting days. So this story feels very in line with all of that, let's say. So this just went down last month, January 2025, January 3rd to be exact. This guy named Jared Wolf was accused of doing the unthinkable, taking the life of his girlfriend, Jane White. And his reason? A supposed paranormal encounter that sent him spiraling into fear and delusion. So this went down in Milton, Pennsylvania, where Jared, 46 years old, and his girlfriend Jane, who was also 46 at the time, they were over at a friend's home in Sunbury, and what started as a low-key, casual, just hangout sesh took a very disturbing turn when Jared and Jane smoked what they believed at the time was marijuana. As the night progressed, Jared began to feel something was off, which isn't, super crazy to think. Like, we've all probably gotten too high and, the paranoia kicks in. Okay, I've sat in a card aisle at a grocery store before, just contemplating life. But Jared's paranoia that night just hit another level. He reportedly was using a device, a so-called paranormal meter, which, I've used before, on a statue inside the home. And according to him, the meter's reading spiked. And this was apparently what sent him into just having a complete panic attack. And then he started becoming really paranoid and became convinced that his girlfriend Jane and their friends were conspiring to not only kill him, but eat him as well. And fearing this impending cannibalization and in a paranoid frenzy, Jared runs out of the house. He goes to his car, retrieves his handgun. He comes back inside of the house and proceeds to shoot his girlfriend Jane in the chest, killing her instantly. She was pronounced dead at the scene. And then after killing her, Jared, I guess, called his brother to tell him what happened. And his brother called 911. And shortly after, authorities arrived to this chaotic crime scene and quickly arrested Jared, who now faces multiple charges, including first-degree murder. I just cannot picture being the friends or his girlfriend in that scenario. It's fucking terrifying. Following his arrest, Jared was taken into custody without incident and held at Northumberland County Jail. His initial court appearance was set for January 15th, 2025, where he was formally charged, and prosecutors have indicated that they're seeking the maximum penalty, arguing that his actions were both deliberate and calculated. They're not buying the story that he just got too high and paranoid and thought they were going to kill and eat him. Like, they just aren't buying it, especially because I believe they only found marijuana in their system. Though Jared has since, I believe, said that he was under the impression that it might have been laced with something. Not sure. His next court hearing is scheduled for March 10th. So next month, where further evidence is going to be presented and a trial date will probably be set. And according to the National Gun Violence Memorial, Jane White was an artist, she was a photographer, and she leaves behind 2 children. It's just so sad. Somebody wrote on her memorial page that she was just an amazing mother and person, and her life was taken from her with no reason at all. And it's just, it's so sad. It's so scary. And it is absolute proof that drugs and ghost hunting do not go hand in hand. Okay, so, pick one or the other for your evening entertainment. I'll keep you guys posted if I hear anything else about that, but I just thought that story was so insane, and I haven't heard anyone talk about it. Moving on, we have got some emails from the babes, and this first one says, Little Leader, a science story, how I met my long lost brother and my fiance, but lost my dad. Hi, King Spencer. Queen Madison, if she's there. She's not. And Princess Hot Dog, she is. Want to say hi? Hello. And Frankie is somewhere causing mischief. I'm sure of it. You may use my name and all names within my story. My name is Ash, and I'm from Northwest Indiana. Hi, Ash. If you read this on a Little Leader, I might actually die. Please don't, Ash. I've been wanting to write to you for a while now, but my ADHD always has something else in mind. I'm so happy I found you from the lovely ladies over at Morbid. I surprisingly became a Geoff before a Cult Babe and managed to binge almost all of them within these past few months. Hey, thanks. I'm in the car all day for my job, so thank you for all the hours of entertainment. Also, I apologize in advance for the length and if it's all over the place. Hey, as somebody who's all over the place all the time, don't worry about it, babe. Growing up, my biological father was never really around due to his problem with drugs. My mom didn't want me or my younger brother around that either, so she told me that once I turned 18, I could make the decision of reaching out to him again. And that I did. At the time, I had no contact with any of my father's family. I managed to find a cousin on Twitter and from there get my grandma and uncle's phone numbers. I contacted them both and eventually got a call from my father in prison. It was so nice to speak with them all again after not speaking for a whole decade. The first time I talked to my uncle on the phone, he dropped some information that would change a part of me forever. I had him on speaker and my best friend Marissa was sitting next to me listening in on our conversation. The conversation went something like this. Uncle: yeah, I have your older brother on Facebook, but don't talk to him much. Me: older brother? You mean younger? I don't have an older brother. Uncle: no, you have an older brother. His name is Josh Nichols. Marissa: I know a Josh Nichols. Me: wait, what? Have you always known about him? Why am I just now finding out? Uncle: oh man, I didn't know you didn't know. I'm sorry I was the one to tell you and not your mom or dad. But yeah, you have an older brother from your dad and this woman he was dating when they were around 16, 17. After finding out I had an older brother, I was thrilled. Marissa and I looked him up under my uncle's Facebook and sure as shit, Marissa has known my older brother for her entire life. That's crazy. Her older brother and my older brother were best friends when they were kids, and Marissa's dad used to be a father figure in my brother's life since our dad wasn't around for him either. That is so, like, kismet crazy. Marissa said she used to have the biggest crush on Josh. What are the chances? I messaged my older brother Josh and explained to him who I was and why I was messaging him. He said he always wanted to meet his long-lost siblings. I love stories like this so much. I found out that Josh's birthday is May 26th, which is the same day as our dad's. Remember that date. But also, our dad died on his birthday on May 26, 2016 from, trigger warning, getting shot and killed by the police. Jesus. My dad was stealing food from a grocery store. When he started to walk out, he noticed cops, so he dropped everything and started running. One of the cops caught up to him, and the cop drew his gun. They got into an altercation of some sort, and somehow the cop ended up shooting his own foot, so my dad continued to run. The second cop shot my dad in the back with a shotgun and killed him on the scene. Jesus, for stealing food? The cops still handcuffed him. My dad was completely unarmed. I sued the police station for wrongful death and won. Good for you. Both of the cops ended up retiring before the case was closed, so they never had to face consequences for taking my dad's life. I'm so sorry. Oh yeah, and I met my new older brother Josh for the first time at our father's wake, too. It was so morbid. I just, like, can't get over that. I'll never get over that. I'm really proud of you for how you handled that. The night I found out my dad died, I tried calling my ex-boyfriend for comfort, except he didn't answer because he was celebrating his roommate's coworker's 21st birthday at the strip club. The birthday boy's name is Ryan. I had never met Ryan before, so I was pretty pissed when my ex didn't answer the phone when I was grieving, as you should be. I found out later that my ex paid for the entire night at the strip club for everyone, yet he never took me out on dates when we were together, but that's another story. I'm just glad that there's an ex prefacing him. 2 weeks later, I went on a date to Dunkin' Donuts to meet this guy I met on Tinder. That night, I met the love of my life, my now fiance, Ryan. I just got chills. Yes, that Ryan from the strip club. I found out his birthday is May 26th too, so I take it as my dad sending me a sign that he is the one. We are getting married in fall of 2026, and I cannot be happier. It will be 9 years in June 2025 that we've been together. Hope you enjoyed this snippet of my chaotic life. Love always, Ash P. Ash, I absolutely love this story. I mean, listen, there's ups and downs, as we know. I'm so incredibly sorry for the loss of your father, but it's just like the way that all lined up absolutely just feels like a sign, and like your dad put that together for you. I mean, just even the birthdays all being the same. That is wild. Absolutely a sign story. Love that. Okay, and then this next this next email has the subject line. It's a little different. I think we're getting a different vibe with this one. Little leader, I baptized a cat once and nearly lost an eye. Hey Spencer, I've been listening to you since my daughter got me hooked just before COVID, and we've been going strong ever since. I was just listening to your latest episode on Gwen Shamblin. And as soon as I heard you say that Madison's grandmother baptized her in the bathtub, I immediately paused the episode to write you this email. I grew up Catholic, went to Catholic school from kindergarten until my second year of college when I got pregnant and dropped out. Whoopsie, but also the greatest surprise of my life. When I was in the second or third grade, the nuns taught us that if a baby dies before it's baptized, it cannot go to heaven because of original sin. Eternity in purgatory is the best they can get. I'm telling you, Catholicism is not for the faint of heart. No, 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 it's not. Also makes sense why most Christians don't baptize until the person makes the decision for themselves, but Catholics generally baptize their infants. Well, we had a cat that was really mean. One day, my friend Beth was over at my house. You can use our names, I'm sure she won't care. We went to school together, so we had just learned the baptism doom and gloom together. It seems that we confused the ideas of baptism and exorcism because we decided that the cat must have been mean because he hadn't been baptized. So we ordained ourselves, grabbed Tiger, and marched ourselves right into the bathroom. I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. A little water poured over his head and didn't work. So we did it again and again and again. Remember when I said he was mean? He was actually remarkably patient because it took until the fourth or fifth baptism until he'd had enough. Especially since cats generally hate water and we were holding him over a running sink. To let me know he was through with our little experiment, he swatted at my face and his claw hooked through my eyelid like a fish hook, but somehow didn't hit my actual eyeball. All I can say is miracles are real because ain't no way I should still be walking around with two fully functional peepers, and I totally deserved it. I'll be writing you in again to tell you the wild story of my ex-husband that honestly I should sell at a lifetime. I've been working on the email off and on literally for years. The subject is The Psychopath I Married. So now that I told you to watch for it, I guess I'm going to have to finish and send it. Please do. Please give scratches to Hot Dog and Frankie from her biggest fans, Mia, a German Shepherd, George, a black super mutt, for real, his DNA showed 19 different breeds, and Peter Barker, our yellow lab pit mix. Pics attached, so cute. Your cult babe for life, Annie. Annie, I also just love that so much. Honestly, yeah, it sounds like a pretty patient cat if it took until the fourth or fifth baptism attempt for him to go, but hopefully he made it to heaven. We'll hope for that. A reminder, if you have a story you want to share, to send it to spencer@cultleader.com. But now that we've read some of your emails, I want to hear from you guys. It's time to move in to our final segment of the evening, which means it's time for the Cult Leader Hotline. First caller.
Hi, Spencer. I'm a loyal cult babe and Geoff. I just listened to your episode on Gwen Shamblin, and I have to say I never thought I'd have a reason to call, but I was raised by a deeply religious mother. And I can specifically remember her going to way down meetings and having the tapes and the books. I also remember her snapping out of it when Gwen started dissing the Holy Trinity and putting herself on a whole nother playing field. So thankfully she wasn't completely brainwashed, but I think this timeline also lines up with the time that my sisters and I were homeschooled. So I'm realizing, thanks to you, that I have Gwen Shamblin to thank for my social anxiety and my weird homeschool girl tendencies. So thank you for that. And say hi to Madison. I love you guys. I'm going to stay anonymous because this is very specific, and I would like to internalize these feelings for a while. So thank you so much. Bye.
Okay. I love you. I love you back. I will let you internalize those moments peacefully. But I mean, just by sharing this, you're already, you're working through it, babe. Okay. I just know already, I've gotten a few emails and a few, especially on Instagram, I've gotten a lot of DMs from people who are like, oh my God, my mom was so into this, which is, I knew putting that episode out there in the world, I knew I would get a lot of response from you guys, and you're absolutely delivering. God, wild. I wonder if your mom still has any of those books laying around. I'd love to actually see one. I should check out eBay. Crazy. Glad your mom got out of it and was able to see through the bullshit a little bit there. And I can only imagine what was being taught in those homeschool sessions if Gwen Shamblin was a part of your life. Oh, so wild. Please keep the Gwen Shamblin stories coming in. I love to hear them. All right, next caller.
Hi, Spencer. I'm not going to tell you my name because I just want to protect the confidentiality of the person in my story. Really quickly, just tell you how much I love your podcast. I've been listening to you, my gosh, since probably before the pandemic, or right around that time. So it's been years. But you brighten up my day. I love to listen to you on my way to work and my way home and when I clean the house. You just always bring me a little bit of joy. Figured I would share that first. So try to get through the story as quickly as possible. But as a little background, I've worked in community mental health on and off for the last 11 or so years. So I have a lot of stories. But this one I've been meaning to call in for a while about because it is, every time I tell anyone the story, they are just mind blown that these are the things we deal with as mental health professionals. This was back when I was a newer therapist, I think in my early 20s. I'm 33 now, so this was a while ago. But I worked at a community mental health center. I was working pretty late into the evening. I had noticed I had a intake appointment scheduled for, I believe it was I think it was 7 o'clock at night. By that time in the clinic, most of the people are gone. There's maybe a handful of folks in the building to just kind of make sure everybody is safe and gets out of the building by a little after 8 p.m., which is when we would close at the time. So I had this office that was very much tucked in a corner in the back of the building. So at that time at night, there really wasn't anybody close by my office. I was kind of alone in the hallway. So I noticed this intake pops up on my computer, and I'm like, okay, whatever. It's just this younger gentleman. I think I had saw that he had recently gotten out of jail, but I didn't have too much detail beyond that. So I was like, okay, I don't really feel great about seeing someone this late at night that I don't know, but it's already in the computer, so it is what it is. I get a call from the front desk about three or so minutes before the appointment's set to start. And the poor lady at the front is saying, hey, your intake is here. He's very agitated. He's like acting strange. We asked him a couple times for his ID and his health insurance card, which is standard for all of the patients. And he was looking at us funny and telling us he didn't want to give us that information and just being very cagey. So could you come out here and kind of assess the situation? So I'm like, oh, okay. Again, not off to a great start, but I'm a pretty tough girl after everything I've done in my career, so I was like, oh, I'll take a stab at it. He's pacing. His eyes look a little weird. I don't know how to describe, but when someone is kind of manic, their eyes dart back and forth really pretty quickly. He just looked like he wasn't doing so well. So I came out and I said, hey, sir, my name is A. I'm here to do your intake. What's the problem? There's something wrong. These ladies want me to give them my information, and I don't want to give them that. And I said, it's a standard procedure. We just need to check your insurance is correct and make sure this is covered. And, he did eventually give them the card because I had said it was okay, but he was still acting very strange. So he gets in the car, they check him in, and then I say, okay, come on back to my office. I open the door, I let him in the back, and he's saying, I'm just here to get my forms filled out for food stamps, and that's all I want, and I'm not here for therapy, I'm not crazy. And I'm like, okay, well, let's take a seat in my office, and let's talk a little bit. So he sits down. Not even like 5 minutes into our conversation, he looks at me, and he says, can I put my mask on? And I look at him, and I'm like, what kind of mask? And he says, a ski mask. And now I'm like very nervous in my office alone, and I say, well, what would you need a ski mask for? And he says, well, I don't like when people look at my face. So at this point, I'm like, you can't wear a ski mask in my office like you're robbing a bank. So I said, I would prefer if you didn't. I mean, I can do my best not to look you directly in the face if that makes you uncomfortable, but you wearing a mask would make me uncomfortable. So we kind of dropped that idea for a couple minutes, and then I, do my risk assessment where I'm asking, are you having any suicidal thoughts? Are you having any homicidal thoughts? And he says, well, what do you mean by homicidal thoughts? And I said, well, are you thinking about harming anyone else or killing anybody? And he says, well, yeah, I kind of always think like that. And I said, okay, can you give me some more detail? And he said, well, like out in the waiting room. And I'm like, did someone bother you in the waiting room? Was it a specific person? And he says, well, no, I was just looking around and I was thinking about what it would be like if I just disemboweled the girl sitting a couple chairs away from me in the waiting room. I'm like, I'm sorry, did you say disembowel? And he's like, yeah, I was thinking about what it would be like if I could cut open her stomach and watch her intestines fall out. And I didn't really know how to respond at that point because now I'm having an internal panic attack. I am screaming internally. And I'm like, holy crap, I can't let this guy leave because if he's homicidal and he leaves and he hurts somebody, I'm the last one that talked to him. So I have to make sure he's safe enough to leave this room. But also, and now I feel like he's going to kill me in my office. So then he starts talking about, I'm asking like, okay, well, do you have any weapons on you? And he's like, maybe. And I'm like, oh God, like this guy could have a knife. We don't have any metal detectors or anything. So I don't know if he's just being provocative or he really has a weapon. So I'm like, okay, are you planning on disemboweling anyone? I'm sorry, I have to laugh because you just have to laugh. Are you planning on disemboweling anyone or are you just like, you're thinking about what it would be like? He was pretty confident of like, no, I'm just thinking about what it might be like. I don't have anybody targeted in my head. I'm like, okay, great. And then he starts telling me about how he's in a relationship with Nicki Minaj. And then he's asking me if I think her songs are about him, and if I think that she's in love with him too. And at this point just agreeing because I've got to get him out of my office before he kills me. I'm like, yeah, I could understand how you would think that. I was with him for about 30 minutes, and I finally got to a point where I'm like, okay, I think he's just being provocative. He's not like gonna like kill someone currently, so I'm gonna let him go. So I come up with some excuse, and I'm like, okay, well listen, like someone from the office will call you to schedule an appointment, and I'll make sure they'll call you right away. And he's like, okay, grabs his stuff, he gets up. I'm walking him out to the front door. When he opens the door, he turns back and he looks at the ladies at the front desk and he goes, F you bitches, F you, and just freaks out. And as he's yelling, I'm like, okay, it's time to go, time to leave. And he runs out the front door into the darkness of the night. Everybody's looking at each other. The poor front desk ladies are like, please, please don't let us have to go out into the dark because what if he's waiting for us and he wants to hurt us? I'm sitting there going, don't let me go in my car alone because what if he wants to kill me? At that point, I just have the front desk page our CFO who was on call that night and he was in the office somewhere. When I finally met with him, I just burst into tears and told him everything. And he was like, why did you sit in your office for 30 minutes with this guy? Like, he could have hurt you. And I explained to him, like, I was trying to assess for risk. But yeah, all in all, at the end of the day, we had a policy change after that. That was no more new intakes after 5 p.m. So yes, we came up with a new policy to protect other clinicians. So I'm really happy that the situation with me catapulted this policy change to make sure all of our other therapists are safe. So no more new intakes with people after 5 p.m. without other staff in the building and that have criminal backgrounds. And then also that gentleman was banned from the facility. He can never return. He wasn't outside when I left. I actually had the CFO walk all of us to our cars at the end of the night, and there was nobody out there, and we were all fine to go. But yeah, I was watching the news for several weeks to see if there was like any mass stabbings or anything with this guy's name attached to it, because he was just a loose cannon, and he had been released from jail 10 days before he came to see me. So didn't start off on a good foot. Hopefully he's okay and he hasn't hurt anybody since then. Yeah, again, love your show. I hope to hear this on one of your episodes, and I hope you and Hot Dog and your new puppy, who I can't remember the name of currently, I hope you guys are all doing well and you have a healthy and safe and happy new year. Have a great day, Spencer. Thanks.
Because that's what we're calling you. I would be absolutely shitting. I mean, even from the ski mask comment on, I'm so glad that none of you were hurt. It's also wild to me that like someone can go in and say like, yeah, I'm thinking of, I always think about disemboweling people and, thought about cutting that woman open and in the waiting room, and then are just released. Like, that feels so wild to me that happens. But I also get there's probably like regulations and protocols you have to follow. But it's like the same thing when someone is threatening to kill you or threatening to cause bodily harm to you. And then the police are like, oh, we can't do anything because they haven't actually attempted to do anything. It's just like, it's bewildering to me. But thank you for the work that you do, working with these patients. And I'm so glad that you were all safe. And I'm also so glad that they actually took it seriously and implemented policy changes in the company. Fuck, that is actually just wild. And hopefully he got help and is mentally in a better place since then. You never know. That's a great place to leave it for the week. I will see you all on Tuesday with a brand new episode of Cult Leader, and I hope you will all have a great, safe weekend. Hope no one gets disemboweled, and that's it. Love ya. Goodbye.